The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery. Episode 18. It is said that the kind-hearted old Tao, who wanted to save someone, unexpectedly fell into a trap set by others. He was knocked unconscious by the one-eyed dragon and his companion with a stick. Seeing old Tao faint, the one-eyed dragon approached and began searching his body. The movements were skilled and swift. "Boss, this is the soul-capturing bell. Hey, can't be wrong." At this moment, the body that attacked old Tao tore off the paper charm from its face. It turned out that he was not a dead person, but the brother of the one-eyed dragon. The two of them staged this act to obtain the soul-capturing bell. These two brothers, surnamed Lai, because of their ugly appearance and lack of other skills, they barely made a living by working as corpse escorts. However, after being in this line of work for a long time, they naturally learned some secrets. When they saw the soul-capturing bell placed on old Tao's table last night, they realized it was a divine object and became tempted. "Let's go. Let him deal with the bodies." After obtaining the soul-capturing bell, the two brothers threw the two corpses that old Tao was escorting off the cliff. This was quite a ruthless move, intending to completely disgrace old Tao and his master. In fact, these two brothers couldn't actually escort corpses. Instead, they used two wooden sticks to take turns carrying the bodies. When they encountered other corpse escorts, everyone would generally keep their distance. In addition, these two were skilled at playing tricks and disguising themselves as corpses, so they had never revealed their true nature. With the soul-capturing bell in their possession this time, the two brothers believed that they could not only learn the true art of corpse escorting, but also easily make money. So the Lai brothers left, and old Tao was left abandoned on this desolate mountain road. "Damn it, wake up." The next morning, as old Tao lay unconscious, he felt someone kicking his body. The kicking and shouting brought old Tao back to consciousness. "Get up, you scoundrel." As old Tao opened his eyes, he saw two men standing in front of him, but he didn't recognize them. However, he could tell that these two individuals were very angry. "You? Who are you? And you're the corpse escort. Why don't I see your father and my father?" Old Tao was momentarily confused about what was happening. He struggled to get up from the ground, but this movement caused a splitting headache. He couldn't immediately respond to the questioning of the two men. "Tell me, where is my father's corpse? We've been waiting for you in the village, but you never showed up. Where is the body?" After listening for a while, old Tao finally understood. It turned out that these two men were the family members of the corpses he had escorted last night. They had waited in the village for him, but eventually decided to search for him along the mountain road. As old Tao glanced around, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. The bodies are not here. They must have been thrown down the cliff by the one-eyed dragon last night, and there's only one place nearby where they could have dumped the bodies. Old Tao dared not think any further. He got up and rushed to the edge of the cliff. But when he saw the situation below the cliff, he was dumbfounded. Indeed, the two corpses had been thrown to the bottom of the cliff. Not only were they smashed into a pile of flesh, but after a whole night's time, they had also been partially devoured by some unknown animals. They were now maimed and incomplete. You were supposed to escort the corpses, but look at how it turned out. I'll make you pay for my father's life. Hold on. At this moment, the two men couldn't bear it anymore. Throughout history, it has been a great disrespect to the deceased for their bodies to be exposed, missing limbs, or damaged in any way. Which family could endure such a sight? Brothers, I have also been framed by wicked people, and besides, this person is already dead, so he doesn't feel anything. Old Tao also knew that he was at fault and tried to apologize. He then explained what had happened last night. However, due to being in a state of panic, his words made others uncomfortable. Indeed, before old Tao could finish explaining, he received a heavy punch to his face. "You're no good at being a corpse driver. Bastard, I'll kill you." These two individuals were truly furious. They punched and kicked old Dao, almost beating him half to death. But these two individuals still held a grudge. They tied up old Dao and brought him to his master's house to demand an explanation. If it weren't for the respect we have for Master Fu and not wanting to cause trouble, we would have handed you over to the authorities. Earlier, we mentioned that old Dao's master is a renowned figure in the corpse-driving profession in Tianxi. But how could he not take responsibility when his disciple caused such an incident? He nearly exhausted all his savings to appease these two individuals. The soul-capturing bell is lost. And are you all right? I apologize to you, Master. At this moment, old Dao was not only covered in injuries, even losing a tooth, but he didn't dwell on them. Losing the precious artifact of his master's sect, the soul-capturing bell, made him feel guilty towards his master. It's not all your fault. Let it go. This was a setup. But to old Dao's surprise, his master didn't scold him. This made old Dao even more remorseful. It was truly more painful than being killed. I've heard of those two individuals. Master, do you know them? Old Dao recounted the incident to his master, who had been in the corpse-driving profession for many years, and he quickly identified the Lai brothers. Let's go. We'll snatch back the soul-capturing bell. Old Dao's master had great skills and a kind-hearted nature, but he was no pushover. Immediately, he brought old Dao to a Taoist temple at the foot of Yuling Mountain. You scum, get out here. Open the door. According to his master, this was where the Lai brothers were hiding. With his master's encouragement, old Dao also regained his spirit. He kicked open the temple gate. Master, it's them. They're not backing down. The Lai brothers were still inside the temple, as if they were deliberately waiting for their master and disciple to show up. You two scoundrels, I will. Hand over the soul-capturing bell, and I will spare your lives. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Seeing the one-eyed dragon approach, old Dao wanted to fight him desperately, but his master, with a stern expression, intervened. You old fool, do you think it's still your youthful days? Now, are we, the Brotherhood, supposed to fear you? No wonder the Lai brothers are so arrogant. It turns out they see the master and disciple as old and weak, not worth their consideration. Looking for death, I'll grant your wish. Master, leave him to me. Be careful. With these words, the two brothers lunged forward with their fists. There was no need for further talk. The stern-faced master frowned and drew out his peachwood sword from behind. And so, the Lai brothers confronted the master and disciple, and the four of them engaged in a fight. You scoundrel. Pretending to be a corpse, you're just too foolish. Plotting from behind. Let's talk about old Dao first. While he was filled with rage, his stature was originally frail. Moreover, he often slacked off and played tricks during training. How could he be a match for the Lai brothers, who dealt with corpses every day? Today, I'll show you something more powerful. But after facing off against the second Lai brother for a few moments, old Dao started feeling overwhelmed. He could sense he was about to suffer. Why don't you have a taste first? However, old Dao was full of tricks up his sleeve. He spat a thick phlegm right into the guy's eyes and seized the opportunity to deliver a powerful kick to his body. Old Dao's kick was indeed powerful, but the guy didn't falter. Instead, he took advantage of the opening and delivered a punch. This punch hit old Dao hard. He felt his vision blur, and then he fell to the ground, unable to get up for quite a while. Old Dao suffered a setback, but his master had a different outcome. This stern-faced master was not only skilled in corpse driving, but also had formidable martial arts. He made the one-eyed dragon experience great hardships. Let me say it again. Hand over the soul-capturing bell, and I'll spare your life. However, the master was not an evil person. He continued to use his wooden sword to fend off the one-eyed dragon. Otherwise, that guy's life would have been forfeit long ago. You old fool, I'll make you hand over the soul-capturing bell. Don't underestimate me. After being knocked down to the ground, the one-eyed dragon struggled for a while but couldn't get up. The stern-faced master didn't take the opportunity to attack again, but instead reached for the soul-capturing bell once more. All right, I'll give it back to you. Perhaps being genuinely scared from the beating, the one-eyed dragon decided to cooperate. He reached into his pocket and took out the soul-capturing bell. You think I don't know how to use this treasure? But everyone was mistaken. The one-eyed dragon waved the soul-capturing bell in his hand and shook it in front of the stern-faced master. However, this time, the sound it produced was different from when they used it for driving corpses. It now had the power to confuse one's mind. How dare you? You've taken out the warding talisman from the bell. Upon hearing the bell's sound, the stern-faced master's mind became both confused and stunned. How could the Lai brothers use their sect's secret treasure? Could it be? Tell me, what is your relationship with the traitor Wu Hainiu? If an ordinary person were hit head-on by the bell's sound, they would undoubtedly lose consciousness due to their confused mind. However, the stern-faced master was no ordinary person. He bit his tongue, enduring the pain, stabilizing his mind. Then he charged towards the Lai brothers. But this time, he didn't use the peachwood sword. But just then, a black-purple hand suddenly emerged from beneath the ground in the Taoist temple. It grabbed the stern-faced master's ankle, and a corpse that had already undergone rigor mortis crawled out from the ground. This was, of course, an ambush set up in advance by the Lai brothers. The turn of events was swift, and the stern-faced master couldn't dodge in time. The zombie, driven by its hunger, lunged forward and viciously bit the stern-faced master's leg, sinking its teeth in firmly. The stern-faced master inwardly cursed, as the zombie's body was filled with deadly toxins. Merely touching it could be fatal, let alone being bitten. He tried to shake off the zombie with a forceful jerk of his leg, but it clung on tightly, refusing to let go even as the entire body was pulled out of the soil. The stern-faced master flung the zombie into the air and swiftly struck it with his sword, cutting it in half. Finally, he managed to get rid of this life-threatening ancestor. At this moment, the ringing sound of the bell made old Dao's head buzz. Although he wasn't directly affected by the sound, it was still quite distressing for him. Finally recovering from the daze, old Dao witnessed his master, as if possessed by a killing god, slashing down the two Lai brothers. Master. The soul-capturing bell. Quick, let's go. Afterward, old Dao watched as the injured one-eyed dragon fled with the soul-capturing bell, climbing over the wall. Instead of chasing after to reclaim the precious item, the master grabbed old Dao and hurriedly ran out of the Taoist temple. It was only later that old Dao realized that the master had been severely poisoned. The toxin had already attacked his vital organs, leaving him powerless to pursue. Moreover, killing someone would risk implicating old Dao. That's why he managed to muster his strength, pulling old Dao away as they fled. Master, what happened to you? Master, Master. As they reached the hillside, the master spat out a mouthful of black blood and collapsed to the ground. Dao Ling, the master knows you. Master. Kind-hearted, deeply rooted in the Tao, but too lazy. In truth, old Dao had a deep affection for his master. When he was destitute and on the brink of being killed by bandits in the Tianxi region, it was the master who came to his rescue and took him in. Devote yourself to cultivation. I must reclaim the soul-capturing bell. Despite what others may say about old Dao being unconventional all these years, the master had always been kind to him. The master even entrusted him with the sect's precious treasure, the soul-capturing bell. Little did he know that it would lead to the master's demise. Master. Witnessing his master die in his arms, old Dao felt as if his heart had been shattered. It was his own actions that caused the death of his master. Everyone said he had a deep connection to the Tao. But what had he done? Old Tao held his master's lifeless body and cried for a whole day and night. After burying his master, Old Tao carried a bundle of explosives to the Taoist temple, intending to die alongside the one-eyed dragon. However, the one-eyed dragon never returned to the temple. From that day onward, Old Tao wandered the rivers and lakes for a whole decade, searching for the whereabouts of the one-eyed dragon and the soul-capturing bell.